First of all, thanks for your submission. Going by the submission there, you seem to be referring to the 1,641 other farmers out of the, you said there's 265 commercial.
Yes.
1,641. What are you saying to them? Are you saying that they shouldn't have their pigs outside? Are you saying that they should be basically not farming them at the moment? Or give me your view on that. I was just reading the submission. Is there any danger in semen, or is semen imported for the pigs coming from other countries? I presume you have looked for a complete ban on all live pigs and everything coming in from any other country to shut down shop in this country. Interestingly, in China, and it was only the other day that I saw it, there's a guy that seems to have built a place in China. It's like a multi-story car park.
Yes.
And it's, I don't know what percentage of China he's able to do, but it looks, I understood that some countries like Spain and that were 15 years and they were trying to get rid of the swine flu and they weren't able. But what has these guys done in China that now they're able to build this massive multi-story thing that these pigs don't have the swine flu? And you seem to be saying that the flood of the German, by being banned from going, even though that it's not in their herd, is crippling the job here or around Europe. How good is that? My understanding was that it was a boom time for the pigmen, and they struggled for many years. And it's a long way. I remember from when we were young having a farrow pin and a lack of bonavs and a sow. We've done it ourselves years ago. Are we getting a lot of stuff into China? And is that market dropping now when you look at the likes of these guys with their multi-story thing? And give me your views on the ordinary pig person, say the organic one, or look, at one time ago they just ring the pig, but I think it's illegal now. I think you could ring the nose of them and you could let them out in the field. But that's all gone. Does it travel? Is there any danger that a bird can bring it from the pig there or the boar there to the pig here if they're outside?
Yes. Thank you for the questions, Deputy. First of all, just to stress, it's not a flu. It's African swine fever virus.
Right.
So it's not a public health threat.
Right.
It's not a risk to human health of any kind. So starting with the smallholders and backyard pig producers, we must commend the work of the Department of Agriculture's National Disease Control Centre, who've done fantastic work in reaching smallholders in Ireland.
Right.
But of course our worry is that there are unregistered pigs that we don't know about. So in the case of any notifiable disease outbreak, not necessarily African swine fever, if there was such an outbreak, the department would not know of these pigs in the surveillance zones and in the control zones. And again, this is an ongoing threat, and that's something that we found very difficult to try and pinpoint. How do the department find out about people who have unregistered pigs? Because even a pet pig, you have to have a pig herd number, and a lot of people don't understand that. So I think a lot of work needs to be done there and how we get this information out to people with backyard and pet pigs. You mentioned the multi-story pig farm. That image has certainly gone viral in the last week. I think it's 84,000 sows on that farm, which is half the size of our entire herd here in Ireland. So what we're seeing now in China is what we saw about 10 years ago in Russia. When it spread through Russia, it was affecting backyard pig producers who had very, very poor biosecurity. They were compensated by the government, and in place, massive mega farms in Russia were built. And again, we're seeing that now in China. The backyard pig producers are the ones.
Where are they getting the bonavs or the sows to if they were infected? Where's all these pigs coming from?
Well, in the case of Russia, a very well-known Irish company, Hermitage and Licks, were exporting gilts to Russia for quite some time. In China, the Danes are currently exporting quite a lot of gilts there at the moment. But as we've seen in Russia, what China are doing now is that they're building these mega farms, and what we expect is that by the end of 2021, that China should be at about 80% of what they were before the 2018 outbreak.
And if all these gills, these 850,000 are heading off that way from Denmark, you talked about the flooding in Europe, should they not be, they're gone out of the market in Europe now?
But there are specific herds who are solely breeding females, who are exporting females for those markets.
Right.
And of course, with China, the Chinese government have invested 26 billion euros in the last 2 years to get China back up to where they were. So it's a colossal amount that they're spending there. So they are really working hard to get the country back up and going.
Is there vaccination for it or just culling, is it?
Yes, no vaccine, 100% mortality. So they had to cull all those animals that became infected or that were impacted by the virus.
Where did they get fresh stock then that are healthy?
Yes, the Danes, many other countries exporting live pigs
They'd be quarantined
as
when
breeding
they
stock.
come in, yeah.
Exactly,
Sorry,
yeah.
But what I just can't fathom in this, maybe I'm picking it up wrong, if there's that many pigs going out there to become sows and breed, there has to be a vacuum somewhere, be it in breeding pigs in Europe or killing pigs. Because that market wasn't there before until others died.
Yes, but of course there's also clean Chinese herds who have been breeding as well for the local market.
Okay.
So of course that would be a large percentage of that.
What about the semen? There's no danger there, is it?
No, our semen is okay because we have Irish boar studs here.
Right.
And you know, any live pigs are kept in quarantine when they arrive here, any breeding gills or breeding boars.
And have we stopped that, bringing in pigs completely?
No, we can still bring in pigs.
And is that not a risk?
No, it's not, because they would be kept in quarantine. There's testing and surveillance before they leave the country in Europe, and again when they get here. So that's overseen by the National Pig Health Council.
We have a strict protocol for importing live pigs. Most of them come in, they're breeding high genetic merit pigs. They come in, they're quarantined and they're tested both sides before they leave the country of export and imported into Ireland. So it's and that's the key point. The risk is not in the commercial production herd. If you look at China, their production system was based on farmers with 100 pigs, like Ireland 50 years ago, and it spread through that. The biosecurity wasn't there, and now they're moving towards biosecure, big intensive units. We have a good production system on our 265 commercial farms. Biosecurity is highly maintained, and that's not the risk. The risk is in our backyard flocks of 1,600 registered flocks. There's probably the same again, not registered, and that's where we need to get out with the department, make sure they're registered, make sure those farmers know that it's illegal to feed swill, waste to those pigs, and that's the risk. One pig on a backyard flock, if someone has 2 pigs in their back lawn that gets African swine fever, the whole industry suffers. We get shut out of Asian markets like China straight away, and that market is still, even with the recovery in the Chinese market, which will happen, they're the biggest importer of pork in the world, and they will still be a very important importer, especially for cuts that we mightn't consume here. Like their delicacy is not for hams or fillets, it's for parts of the pig we don't eat. And last year we exported 950 million worth of pig meat. 25% of that went to China, and that was all cuts that might have been rendered if we didn't have China to take those cuts. Similarly on the beef, they don't eat the same cuts we need, and it's putting value back into the animal, the pig or whatever we export, that we'd have to pay to get rid of it almost if we didn't have those markets. It's vital to keep those markets. One of the main processors told me recently, if they hadn't got China 20 cent in the morning, gone off the price of the pigs. And the start of this year, 2020, Chag has predicted, and rightly so, a price for the year of around €2 a kilo. That's a great price, everything would have been perfect. We're now down to 150 or just a little bit above it, just at break even. And you know, pig meat production is a volatile market, it goes up and down. And the rest of Europe is down below 130 now because of the German impact and been restricted from markets. The importance of keeping African swine fever and keeping we have an opportunity as an island to keep African swine fever out. And that's what I think the crux of today is for 2 asks. We need an all-Ireland approach with our counterparts in the north to try and, we have an island, we should be able to keep this out. We don't have, the high risk of wild boar is not in Ireland. It's going to be brought in by unassuming travellers. And the other ask is that we need to inform the public about this. You know, travel has been restricted due to COVID, but it's going to come back eventually, and we just need to inform people. So I'd like to just bring in our pig chairman, Roy Galley, who's online just through Teams. Roy's a pig farmer in Kildare, my own county, so if you'd like to contribute a bit, Roy, as well.
It's just before